It was the mid-90s, an era defined by a sense of carefree freedom and simple pleasures. Fruitopia was in every convenience store cooler, a burst of sweet, colorful refreshment that seemed to capture the essence of the time. Kids spent their afternoons outside, riding bikes with their friends, their laughter echoing down tree-lined streets, playing games like tag or kickball until the sun dipped below the horizon. Video games were just beginning to take hold. The best ones were still the ones you played on your living room floor with friends, controllers in hand, trying to beat the latest level of Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog. The 90s were a time when life seemed to flow with an easy rhythm. The biggest worries revolved around school projects or the next episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In the midst of this vibrant, nostalgic time, there was a tragedy that would cast a shadow over one family and an entire community. Tragedy that still baffles investigators and haunts those who knew the young boy involved. 4-year-old DeJuan Sims vanished from the Wonderland Mall in Livonia, Michigan.
Do you still feel to this day that DeJuan Sims knew what happened to DeJuan?
Yes.
Tonight, police and frantic family members are all asking, where's DeJuan?
So where is DeJuan Sims?
When last seen, DeJuan Sims of Detroit was wearing a striped hooded jacket, blue sweatpants, and black sneakers. His mother, DeWanna Harris, told police she just walked out of the Target store at Wonderland Mall Sunday afternoon with DeJuan at her side when he simply vanished.
30 years,
Yes.
almost to the date of him disappearing. Just what do you make of the time that's passed and just...
Well, as you've seen in other cases, I mean, the hopes at this time is, as time passes, you hope that somebody has heard or knows something about this case from 30 years ago, and that
It has been 30 years since the disappearance of DeJuan Sims, a case that still baffles investigators and haunts those who knew him. On December 11, 1994, the 4-year-old boy vanished from the Wonderland Mall in Livonia, Michigan, sparking one of the most intense and puzzling missing persons investigations in the state's history. It was December 11, 1994, a day that would forever be etched in the memories of those who knew 4-year-old DeJuan Sims. A seemingly ordinary trip to the Wonderland Mall in Livonia, Michigan, would turn into a tragic and baffling mystery that has yet to be solved. That afternoon, DeWanna Wiggins, along with her young son, DeJuan, arrived at the mall for what appeared to be a typical shopping outing. They were in the Target store, which was a popular spot for families in the mall. It was just another day in the busy pre-holiday season, with shoppers bustling around, browsing for gifts, and enjoying the Christmas atmosphere. However, things would take an alarming turn when, in the midst of their shopping, DeJuan vanished. According to DeWanna's account, around 2:30 p.m., she and her son were walking through the mall. They had finished shopping in Target, and DeWanna said they were on their way toward the central corridor of the mall. At some point, DeJuan, a curious and active boy, stopped in front of a toy store. He was drawn to the colorful displays in the window, like many young children are, and stood for a moment gazing at the toys inside. DeWanna, who had been walking a few steps ahead, turned around to check on him, but by the time she did, he was gone. In her statement to police, DeWanna claimed that she turned to find her son missing from the spot where he had been looking at the toys. She immediately started searching the area, calling his name and asking people nearby if they had seen a little boy. Panic set in as she couldn't find him, and she rushed to the mall's security to report that her son had disappeared. What followed was a frantic and large-scale search. Mall security, local police, and even the FBI were called in to assist in searching for DeWann. Investigators immediately began reviewing mall surveillance footage, hoping to find a clue that would lead to the young boy's whereabouts. Unfortunately, the footage from the mall cameras provided no answers. There was no sign of DeWann in the area where he had last been seen, and no one reported seeing him after he had supposedly disappeared. In the days that followed, authorities began to notice inconsistencies in DeWanna's story. While she initially reported that her son had vanished at around 2:30 p.m., witnesses came forward and stated that they had seen her arriving at the mall around 3:30 p.m., an hour later than she had claimed. This discrepancy in her timeline raised immediate red flags for investigators. Further investigation into DeWanna's statements led to even more doubts. She was subjected to 2 polygraph tests, both of which she failed. The inconsistencies in her story, coupled with her polygraph results, caused authorities to question whether she knew more about her son's disappearance than she had let on.
Mama loves you, Bookie loves you, everybody loves you, and we waiting on you to come home. We got your Christmas ready, and just come home.
I'm not gonna stand accused of hurting my own baby. I'm not. I understand the world is sick and there's a lot of mothers out there, but this is not the case this time. I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty of harming my own child. I don't know what happened to Dewan beyond Wonderland Mall.
When she took the polygraph test, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, the night that she had lost the baby. She was like distraught, hysterical, and I don't know, I'm not an expert on polygraph. I don't know anything about them, but I think it goes by what your emotions is. It can't tell you if you're lying, but it tells you how your body reacts. I think they took it at a bad time, and that's why we're down here today, for her to take another one. And that's all I'm saying. It's just that there is no way my child would hurt her child.
Additionally, a potentially troubling detail came to light. Dewan's grandmother had taken out a life insurance policy on the young boy. Though Dewana reportedly had no knowledge of the policy and claimed it was intended to cover his college education, the presence of the policy only added to the suspicion surrounding her. Despite these issues, investigators continued to search for Dewan. His father, who was not living with Dewana at the time, was interviewed and underwent a polygraph test, which he passed. He has never been considered a suspect in the case. Dewan's disappearance left the community of Livonia and the entire state gripped by fear and confusion. The mall, once a familiar place of shopping and fun, had become the setting of an unthinkable tragedy. Dewana's life, already marked by the pain of losing her son, would take even more troubling turns in the years to come. In the years after Dewan went missing, Dewana moved to Durham, North Carolina, where she remarried and started a new life. However, the shadow of Dewan's disappearance would continue to follow her. In 2007, she was arrested for an unrelated assault, an event that raised even more questions about her personal life and stability. However, she continued to maintain her innocence regarding Dewan's disappearance. The case would take another strange turn in 2019 when a man named Mike Cash publicly claimed to be Dewan Sims. After DNA testing in 2021, it was revealed that Mike Cash was not Dewan, but the claim reignited public interest in the case, which remains unsolved to this day. Sadly, Dewana passed away in 2020, and with her death, the remaining answers about her son's disappearance seem to slip further out of reach. 30 years have passed since Dewan Sims was last seen in front of that toy store in the Wonderland Mall. His disappearance remains one of the most puzzling and tragic mysteries in Michigan's history. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened to Dewan. He was last seen wearing a red jacket, blue jeans, and black shoes, standing in front of the toy store. At the time of his disappearance, he was described as being 3 feet tall and weighing around 50 pounds. Anyone with information about Dewan's disappearance is still urged to contact the Livonia Police Department. Though time has passed, the case remains open and the hope for answers persists.